Once again, we welcome you truth seekers, we're those of Latwii, and we are so humbled and grateful to be transmitting via the circle again. We thank you all for your dedication and service. And we offer ourselves to offer answers to any questions that may be on the heart of each of you.
I have a question, Latwii. How does one dedicate sexual energy transfer to the Creator in order to maximize vital energy, similar to how Carla, Dawn, and Jim experienced? Was there a specific special circumstance, or can any of us utilize and benefit from an act such as that?
We're those of Latwii, and thank you for this question. Although widely practiced, the utilization of the so-called energy transfer involved in sexual copulation is little used. So any extra information we can give we offer the vital energies that flow through and are stored inside the body complex. Works on subtle shifts to the energy bodies, both masculine and feminine energies provide fuel for this course, both delivering what the other requires. As a means of biological biological this instrument is the biological imperatives that you hold as the feelings of engaging as what you see as this instrument wants to say being horny is heavily connected to the need for your biological vehicle to pull in the necessary energetic components, shall we say, the vigor and the want that you experience in your physical form is fueled subconsciously by these needs as much as any hormonal chemically led reason. So any act engaging in this way will have some sort of effect in the way that the other selves you mentioned utilized it. For this working to be replicated, certain tantric practices should be learnt or practiced. The focusing on love and the green ray connection during the coupling is of vital importance for the energy transfers to easily transfer. But once these acts have been understood and practiced, they will help with any metaphysical working. We hope that this has been clear. But we are willing to expand on the answer if necessary.
Could you expand on the portion of the dedication of the energy transfer to the creator? I'm a little unclear on the maybe functionality, methodology of the actual dedication portion, understanding that love and greenway focus need to be utilized during the transfer, but the ultimate dedication of it is a little unclear to me.
Thank you, my brother. We're those of Latwii, and we attempt to expand. When the decision is made to perform these acts, the people involved will each have their own reasons and intentions to do with the distortions towards self and pleasure. When these acts are done in a more ritualistic fashion, the open heart connection is focused with intent and will, by the act being dedicated not to pleasure or control or any of the other distortions that you attach to this act. Instead, it should be done with devotion, knowing that you are creator, interacting with creator, and that love is a power source to elevate these energies. of which you give back and experience, not for the self, but for Creator himself. We hope this gives some extra information.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Are there any questions that's still left unasked?
Hi, Latwii. I had a question from the back of that, but I'm still trying to formulate it. If a person, as you mentioned in the instrument's words, would, becomes horny, but doesn't have an other self with which to interact, is there a way that they can utilize the sexual energies through masturbation, or can they still, in a positive way, utilize that energy in some way?
We are those of the Laitos, and I understand your question. We would say that all things can be dedicated to Creator. All acts can be acts of devotion. The act of intercourse is a perfect biological system to amplify those energies. But any sexual climax does produce the same vibrational release that can be targeted and can be utilized with will and intent. This instrument has spoken of sigils and using self-pleasure in that way to charge, whereby focusing the intent can be increased via the ritualistic use of these methods. We hope this helps. I would ask if there's any further questions.
No, that really did help. Thank you. I have another question, which is of a different nature. In the raw material, it was spoken about how I think the words that were used were that most people would hear a negative communications as a ringing in their left ear and a positive message as a ringing or a message through their right ear. The use of the word most suggested that some people would hear it the opposite way around. So some people would hear negative through the right ear and positive through the left ear. And I was just wondering whether there, for any individual, if there is a way for them to know whether they are flipped around, as it were, and would hear the messages through the opposite side.
We are those of Latwii. And we would say that this is a slightly distorted understanding. The flow of energy around the aura and the channels by which energies can be comprehended and these messages are not as direct as the left and right ear. And there are different chakra orientations that can influence the perception of these messages. So it is not as simple as left and right ear. The as you described, positive influx moves on a spiral path which makes it more accessible and connectable due to the orientation of the sense organs negative information travels on a spiral in the opposite direction. So the majority will be perceived from the opposite direction. This is not wholly true, as circumstances can greatly affect the movement of these vibrations in and your ability to perceive them. We also say that the positive and negative polarity of this information is for the seeker to decide. And so discernment is the best tool to know the polarity of any received information. We hope this has helped, as this is a complex subject. Could we provide any other clarification?
Thank you for that detail. It did help. You mentioned there about different circumstances having an effect. I'm just wondering, are you able to give an example of a circumstance and how that might affect the in-streaming of the information?
We're those of Latwii, and we can offer that the biological form is not exact between all entities and different in the physiological structures of the brain, as well as the balancing and vibrational level of the chakras, and the pre-incarnative and life decisions to do with polarity, can also have small effects. The information is, as was stated, mostly correct. We are describing the extremes of examples. But we thank you for your question, and we hope this has giving you some basis.
It has, thank you. I appreciate you answering the questions. Those were all my questions for now. Thanks.
We are those of Latwii, and we thank you, my brother. We would ask if there is any more queries that this circle would offer.
Greetings. I have a question. I was wondering if you could explain the difference, if any, in the metaphysical mechanics that are in use between those using what we call psychic abilities and those who are using intuition. It would seem that they're two sides of the same coin, but many more other selves have an intuitive sense in activation already to a large degree, mostly ignored, but it manifests as their powerful hunches or gut instincts. And for some, it expresses more as like an advanced felt sense. But the innate expression of psychic faculties is not so widespread, it seems. Those seem to take more work to activate or express in the larger population, and some may not at all. So I was just wondering about the mechanics between the two, the dynamic between the two, since intuitive faculties seem to be more online when the incarnation is in activation. So any comments on the difference in the two processes that come from our metaphysical makeup, psychic and intuitive, would be appreciated. Thank you.
We are those of Latwii, and we thank you for this interesting query, my sister. When comparing these two faculties, one must realize that intuition is vital to life. The hunches and gut feelings are as functionally important as logic and reason. But humans lack the wider vision to have the necessary clarity in their intuitive senses. We would say that psychic is a big word. It describes many things, most of them being the indigo ray, energy body and its expanded awareness. We would say that unless pre-incarnative psychic ability takes much work and practice, this is a function of the indigo ray. This differs slightly from the use of intuition, as it is more a case of learning how to trust and analyze instead of perform and practice. There are those that make pre-incarnative choices to have those faculties activate on their own or in some synchronistic fashion. But every one of you has an intuitive awareness. We hope this has given some explanation. Although we worry there may have been insufficient detail, this instrument is running rather low.
Thank you. That was enough clarity for me to understand your meaning, and I appreciate the response. If the psychic faculties are expressed as a function of the indigo ray, then could it be said that the intuitive faculties that are more widespread and open in humans, even unconsciously, as you stated, because of its vital nature to balancing the intellect and survival of the incarnation, could it be said that the intuitive faculty is a function of the interaction between the more earth-based energy centers, red and orange and yellow, where psychic is more indigo? Or is there perhaps like an echo of that green ray that is manifesting into the lower centers, and that is where intuition manifests or expresses itself? I don't know if that makes sense.
We those of the three, and that makes sense to us. We would say that The intuition is more a way of measuring downstreaming energies, whereas the intellect is more the upward streaming through the body based on the experience and persuasion of the individual.
Thank you.
We are those of the three. If there are no further questions, we will bid you farewell. We thank you for the opportunity to interact in this way. And for the progress of the circle. So we leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, Adonai.
Greetings, our beloved brothers and sister. We are pleased to be among you again. I am Latos, and we have come in the love and light of the one infinite creator to offer our most humble service of sharing our broadband vibrations, so to speak, with you all, that you might experience the opportunity to transmit our words, our light love, and gain momentum to the channeling of other social memory, complex family. We of Latos spread our vibrations among you, and in this manner we wish to sit with you and extend a beam, a stream of consciousness to each of you, and would ask for a few moments of stillness and openness of our presence. We would humbly suggest the opening of the mind, that you may see or perceive the imagery we share with you, the emotion we share with you, and then after the challenging If a word comes through from our beingness, we invite you to share. We are those of Latos, and we transmit and meditate with you now. We are those of Latos, and we thank each for welcoming our presence and vibration for a time, and encourage the calling of our presence to be with you in your meditation, that we may get to know one another, so to speak, in these more intimately energetic terms. We invite the process of journaling any messages or sensations you have experienced in this moment, understanding that as a social memory complex, we may speak through this vessel, and also another of our beingness speak to you directly at the same time. We thank you for your commitment to this working, and we leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, Adonai.